Yo, people, it's time for Football Bants channel. Yay! Hope everyone's having a great day. Any of those who are joining the stream, smash the likes, subscribe, and let's get this popping today. So, before I bring in my first guest, I want to say a shout out to Mr. Tony Claude TV and One Touch TV. Mr. Niger, Englishman, big up your chest, and big up to any of my followers, which are not many, but hopefully we will see what happens. So without further ado, I'm going to bring in my boy, Age Online. Let's do that 1 second. Yo, Age. Hey,
Yes,
Jaden.
I'm good, man. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, man. So introduce yourself then, bro.
Yeah, well, I'm Age Online. Yeah, we've known each other for a while, since we were single figures, something like that. So yeah, I'm a Leeds United fan. Not a lot of people know that, but I'm very active on a lot of the podcasts and the comments and stuff like that. Big football fan first and foremost, though, man. So like I said, like we've known each other for a long time. Just we're always talking about football, and yeah, we invite me on the show. I thought, why not, man? So yeah, pleased to be here, and hopefully to start something good, man.
Nice. So I guess we better get into it then. So you guys had your presser today. Do you want to just give us a little roundup of the Leeds, what's going on with the Leeds team and stuff?
Yeah, well, yeah. First of all, Javi Gracia, our manager, his press conference, he tends to keep his cards close to his chest. He doesn't believe in revealing his team selection. I don't know if you ever came across Bielsa's, Marcelo Bielsa's press conferences, but he sometimes used to name the team on, 2 days before, and Javier Gracia is the opposite. He doesn't see the advantage in doing that. He doesn't want to reveal his team. So his press conferences have been a bit stale and a bit cagey, cat and mouse. But today he revealed quite a lot of information, which he doesn't usually do, as I said. So the main takeaways were during the international break, we picked up 2 injuries. So just actually before I name those players, Tyler Adams. Let's not talk about Tyler Roberts. Tyler Adams has been one of our best players this season, arguably our best player, playing in that CDM role. And he picked up a hamstring injury. I believe, I can't remember the fixture. I'm not going to try and guess, but it didn't look serious. But he missed the last fixture, which he won against Wolves, and he was expected to come back after the international break. But he's got a hamstring injury which requires surgery, and hamstrings surgery, that don't look good. So that was the main thing to come out in the press conference. He didn't want to say he's out for the season, but he says we cannot say, but that looks like he's out. So he looks like Adams is out for the season, which is a big blow. And also Max Wober got injured playing for Austria. He's got a hamstring as well. So usually hamstrings typically can be 2 to 4 weeks. He's been outstanding since he's come in. He's really galvanized our defense. And then last but not least, probably our best attacking player, Willy Gnonto, played against England at Napoli's ground. And then he played against Malta. Unfortunately, after 12 minutes, he sprained his ankle. So he's out. So big blows there. We've had a lot of players recently come back into the fold. Rodrigo, Bamford, Sinistera. But to lose 2 or 3 players that have been outstanding all season is a massive blow. Against a top quality opponent like Arsenal, it's the last thing we needed.
Yeah, it's a bit of a bummer, to be honest, because I've been watching Notto probably since January, and he's impressed me quite a bit. He's very direct, and he's very consistent as well, and he's pacey, he's strong, you know, and he worries, he bullies defenders, and he's a great player. I wanted to ask you though, in terms of like your season so far, because I know you guys are like hanging kind of like near the relegate. Well, you're actually near the relegation area. There's not too many points between what is it, last and is it 12th or something? I can't remember that. Something like that. How do you feel that your season's gone so far? Because you guys play some really good football, probably some of the best football in the league.
Yeah, I mean the season. Quite simply, we've played good football. We haven't won enough games, and that's the name of the game, right? You're there to pick up 3 points. I think we've only won 6 games all season, so it's just not good enough. I think under Jesse Marsh, we didn't really have a clear identity. It was this chaotic football which we inherited under Bielsa and under Jesse Marsh. The only major differences he made was he got rid of man-to-man marking, which I was all over, because at any level, I mean, that is just not sustainable, and it's too easy to disrupt. You know, if you're marking me and you drag me out of my position, or I drag you out of your position, there's an opportunity for someone to fill it, making a late run. And we saw this often with Calvin Phillips. He used to just get taken out the middle, and teams would be able to score 4, 5, 6, 7 goals against us. It took a while, but teams worked it out. But having said that, the other thing that he did was take away width, which I wasn't a fan of, and I think that's why we haven't won a lot of games. Instantly with Nonto, when he came into the team, he played wide, and he obviously figured out my strength is wide. If I'm going to come on to make a difference, I'm going to do my thing, and it worked. And he was almost like Michael Jordan. He was just come give him the ball and make something happen, right? So yeah, I think we've got this Javi Gracia. He likes width, and you've seen the difference. The structure of the team is better. We're not playing this crash bang wallop football, but the relegation battle this season is ridiculous. There's 8 teams that can go down, like you said, 12 from bottom, and that goes all the way up to I think Crystal Palace are 12th, and they haven't had a shot on target for 3 games. Hence they changed their manager, which is a bit harsh. But if you're not having a shot on target in 3 games, you're not going to win a game, are you? So they're good at draws, not easy. And I looked at the fixtures earlier. There's a couple of games. I think Wolves are playing Nottingham Forest. That's what they call a 6-pointer, right? But if we win 2 games in a row, we could be 12th, but we're still in it. It depends on so many teams, so many permutations. So it's about 17th place after 38 games. If we can do that, we've got out of jail. Anything less, then we're in the championship. So we just need to pick up a lot of points from now to the end of the season. But yeah, I'm sure we'll get onto the fixture. Not the easiest fixture to get anything from.
Yeah, we get into that. I wanted to jog your memory back to the first game when we played you at Ellen Road, and that I would say is a game that actually, what's the word that I'm looking for? That type of game that we won. We were very fortunate in that game. Bamford missing the penalty. The handball shout. Or was it the foul or something like that from Gabriel? I think it's the handball shout. Those type of games, yeah. If we had lost, I don't think we would be. I don't know if we would be where we are now. So I just wanted to just cast your memory back to that game and how you felt. How did you feel about that game?
Well, at that stage of the season, I was more optimistic, and that performance gave me a lot of optimism. I go as far as to say we should have definitely got a point. Arguably, we could have won that game. I think if Bamford puts the penalty in, the way the game was going, we had momentum. But the facts are the facts. We didn't score. We lost 1-0. And even the goal, I mean, not taking anything away from Bukayo Saka. as you know, one of my favorite players, a real talent. And it was refreshing to read a newspaper where he was described as the jewel in the England crown. It's about time that players from our background get picked up like that, because there's other players that they'll put up there. But no, I think everybody knows what time it is now of him. So he scored, but for me, the keeper shouldn't be beaten from that angle. He's got 2 feet, but I kind of would accept it more if he scored with his right foot, left foot rather, as he's predominantly left-footed. But from that angle, beating Melier, it was like, we've seen this before with Seamus Coleman. Sometimes he's not really trying to cover that near post. As a keeper, you should not be beating on your near post. So yeah, I mean, it was a good performance. When we play Arsenal under Bielsa, we're good at disrupting Arsenal's passing game, but what we're not good at is creating much attacks. And that was a similar sort of game. That said, towards the end of Bielsa's tenure, the same fixture last season at Ellen Road, I think he beat us 4-1. I think Martinelli had an absolute ball that game. He scored, I think, 2 goals in the first half. He ripped us apart. And I think that game this season, we were really competitive. We were still on that kind of crest of the ray from the Chelsea result, beating Chelsea at Ellen Road. And this season, it's funny, you're quite honest there. I mean, it's your opinion. You don't think Arsenal would have got to where they were. I think it was a big test, because I think before that, Arsenal had a lot of good performances, and I think we're good at disrupting Arsenal. I think we would miss someone like Tyler Adams, because I think he had a
100%, 100%.
We'll miss him. But we've got Weston McKennie, who's more of an 8, but he can do the same sort of hustling and getting people's faces.
Who's that guy? Is that guy from Juventus? Yeah,
that's correct. Yeah,
he looks like he's decent. Decent on the ball.
And you know what? He can play anyway. I've seen him play right back for Juventus. He can play as a 6, but I think he likes to get forward, and he can score goals. Something that he's not doing is trying to take a lot of shots. I think he's trying to like be, in the trenches all the time. I think he needs to express himself, and we need something out of him. And I've been a little bit disappointed with our midfielders. I don't think there's been too many goal contributions or even assists from them, but they've been attritional. They've been in the middle, trying to like break up play, but we need a bit more, So yeah, I think it'll be a very interesting game. And I was going to say, I think this season we've tended to play better against the bigger teams. We drew at Old Trafford. We got a point at Anfield. It remains to be seen whether we can get something from the Emirates, but we didn't put in a bad fare against Man City. First half anyway, they got back at us and won. But we tend to play better against the bigger teams. So I think we were able to sort of play more counter-attack because they have more of the possession. Maybe that's it. But yeah, I mean, it's not going to be easy at all.
Yeah, so well, saying that now, I'm probably going to touch on the game now. So what I got from Sky News or the media today was that Partey trained today, so that's going to be a plus for Arsenal. Saliba's still out, so I don't think he'll be playing on Saturday, but I think Rob Holding will probably be able to just slot in. So we've got decent cover there. So looking at this fixture, what's your thoughts on the actual game itself? Do you think you can get 3 points?
It's possible, but it's highly unlikely we can get 3 points.
It's after the international break, so
yeah,
it's going to be one of them.
That's a valid point. Teams got to start from 0, and when you're in a rhythm and you got to stop, sometimes it takes you a couple of games to find where you left off. So that does go in our favor. I think I'd be interested to know where Gabriel Jesus is at, because he played and then he didn't play. I don't know if he had a breakdown or they were just cautious with him. Probably had a reaction, but if he's back to full fitness, I do worry. I know you've got a central defender missing. We've got Max Vober missing, which means Liam Cooper, who's a club captain, but he's affectionately known as League One Liam for a reason, or Calamity Coops. right? I've seen that guy breakdance. He got twisted in the game. I'm not joking, Anton. He broke dance. He spin on his back. Um, I'll have to pull you that clip but that's what he can do. He's not Premier League quality, right? But he's a club captain and he'll give 100%. And to be fair, from set pieces, he's the only one I think be confident to head the ball out, because I'm noticing with a lot of the continental players, they're not so averse at headers from set pieces. And that's because they have a lot of short set pieces taken, and maybe a lot of balls in and around the box. There'll certainly be balls in, but I think it's fair to say the sort of aerial approach we see from corners and crosses at the back stick is more of a British trait. But yeah, I don't think we're going to win. Arsenal have scored 3 goals in their last 3 games. I think you scored 4 against Everton, right? When Odegaard did that slide tackle skill that I've not seen before on Iwobi. I don't know if you saw the clip of that. And he's just been outstanding this season, especially after the World Cup. He's just been like Ozil Part 2. He's just been amazing for someone so young to be doing what he's doing. But Arsenal have scored 3 goals against, I think, Bournemouth. You scored 3 goals. Fulham away, you scored 3 goals. You're just hot. So, like you were saying, maybe starting from 0, maybe Arsenal only can
4-1 against Palace as well. The last game before international break as well. So maybe as well that, and this is the thing with these youngsters as well, is that they're not used to the business end. So it's a case of like, this is their first time and they're going for a title against some monsters in Man City. So did we learn anything from last season? That's a question. And that's a question that I think that has to be posed to Arteta as well. What do you think of Arteta this season and generally as a manager?
When he first got the job, I was surprised. I didn't see enough on his CV, and I didn't like the attitude of, well, he's worked under Pep, so he'll be a good manager. It's kind of like a subservience to Pep Guardiola. I think he's a great manager, but he's not the only good coach, and there are good coaches. I wasn't convinced, but it wasn't that long ago. Arsenal, I think just before Christmas 2 seasons ago, you were, I think, second from bottom. You had a difficult time, and I remember his soundbite was trust the process. I have to respect that guy. I just have to respect him because he stayed calm. And the breakthrough game I remember watching, I'm not saying this is the breakthrough game, by the way. I mean, just in my opinion, the breakthrough game was a game you actually lost. You played Liverpool at Anfield. And for the first 20 minutes, you bossed them. And Klopp was throbbing. I just saw Liverpool didn't look like they were comfortable at all. And don't ask me how. I think Arsenal just capitulated. You may have lost 3, maybe even 4-0. I can't remember the score. But I thought that's the first team I've seen do that to Liverpool at Anfield, because it was Fortress Anfield back then. Now that sort of fortress has disappeared, but we're talking about this amazing run they went to games not losing at Anfield. But there was a young Arsenal team. I think he has learnt from that, and I think he's someone who doesn't like losing. He stays calm, and I think the recruitment, obviously you've got the Brazilian sporting directors who maybe have bought, some of the Chelsea guys in, Luis and Willian, that didn't really work, but they've recruited well. Partey has been an excellent addition, and then obviously Jesus Zinchenko's been fantastic. I just think it's a case of Arteta's getting the players he wants, because obviously he knows the 2 players from Man City, and Partey would be presumably a player being very familiar with consuming Spanish football. So this is more of his team. I think the way they're playing, I want Arsenal to win the league. I don't want to sound like Cristiano Ronaldo, but I do want Arsenal to win the league. I do. Oh, that guy, man, that interview, that's talk for another time.
So I'm going to ask you a question, man, because I'm the host and I can ask the questions. I'm hearing there's a lot of talk about Saka. And the question is he world class? Now, I've got my thoughts on what I think of Saka. I think he's going in that direction. to me, as biased as I am, I feel like he's world class. But world class players win things. What's your opinion on that?
I'm not sure if I agree with the last statement you made because it's context dependent, right? If you're at a club that is getting to regularly to semi-finals in European competitions, you play for a nation that's getting semi-finals, and or your club
But
runners
world
up.
class players win things, right?
Or it depends on what you think world class is. Like I've got a friend, he's like, there's only 10 world class players. I don't agree with that because I think there's more. I think there's at least 50 world class players because my knowledge of the game, I I could think of 10 players because I don't know everybody in every league, but I think there's at least 50, which might be a bit of a large number. But I think, to answer your question, I think he's on his way to world class. There's another criteria, right? World class players are consistent. Now he's not had a season like this in terms of his goals and his assists. Yeah, he's won young player this year. I think player of the year with Arsenal probably for the last 2 seasons, but that's internal, like you said, bias, right? I think when he starts to rack up young player of the season awards or player of the season's awards, when he shows that he can do it internationally, and look, Arsenal need to be in the Champions League. That's when we'll find out how good he is, right? Unlucky not to progress in Europa, but I think if you win the league, you'll take that. Winning Europa and not winning the league would have been more of a blow. Let's see how he gets on next season. Arsenal got every right to offer him a new contract because he will have suitors. And Arsenal know Chelsea, Man City, these, even Newcastle. I read somewhere his dad was a Newcastle fan. I hope he never goes up there. I think it was Saka.
Oh.
I know it's a bit strange being born, in Ealing, but I did read that maybe he was a Shearer fan, but
Probably.
yeah, those clubs will be looking for any opportunity, and I dare say in Europe. But I think he's on his way to world class. He's almost there. I think there's a lot of hype. He scores a nice goal for England. It's a typical thing with any English player. They have to use this word world class to justify the fact that they don't win tournaments, and it's a bit predictable. It was Kane, Rooney, any star player they have to associate with world class.
So let me give you an example. How do you feel Motto would do in the Arsenal team?
I think he'd be a good fit. I think he's a bit raw, but I think Martinelli's a bit raw.
Yeah.
Where Martinelli's got an advantage over Nono is him and Jesus link up really well, and they interchange their movements excellent. I think, like I said earlier, the way Nonto's being used is like get the ball wide and run at your player. There's a lot more to his game. I was looking at some of his highlights for FC Zurich and for Italy. He's good in the middle of the park. I think he easily could play as a 10. He can play on the right-hand side. So one of the players that I've been really impressed with in Arsenal this season, even though he hasn't featured a great deal, is Trossard. Because Trossard can play in
big part of that,
attacking 4 players. He can play as a false 9. He can play behind the striker. He can play left, right. He can finish. He can dribble. His runs in the box are good. He never seems to be marked out of a game or stopped. Technically very good. And I say the same with Nonto. I think he could do that role. And Arsenal, I don't think he's a light for Martinelli. I don't necessarily see him as a winger, but I think he'd be really good because one thing I like about Nonto is that if you look at him play, when the ball goes out of play, he gets the ball. He likes tempo. He chases everything down. He don't give up. He's relentless. He's got heart.
Well.
Player you want to play with as a manager, you want that. You want him, but he's raw. He needs to maybe conserve his energy. Don't go for the ball. There's kids that do that. Yeah. All those little sprints to get the ball or catch up with you in the full season. I think he's just raw. He needs to know certain things, but his football IQ is high for a 19-year-old. Really high.
Excellent. So match day. So let's talk about the teams and possibly starting 11s, and possibly let's talk about who are the danger men, the key players to look out for.
Mm.
So I can almost predict our team. So back in goal, we've got Ramsey. Two centre backs will be Gabriel and Rob Holding. On the right, it'd be Ben White. Left, Shevchenko, Zinchenko. Zinchenko. You know when you're fasting, bro, it's just like mad.
I don't
So
mind Shevchenko at left back, to be honest, man.
you're right, bay, bro. So midfield, we got Thomas Partey. If he's fit, that is, by the way, yeah, because that's another one as well. I'm not too sure if he would start, so it probably might be Jorginho that starts the game. But if Partey's fit, he starts. You know that. Xhaka and who's the other guy? And Odegaard in the midfield, and up top. So left Martinelli, right Saka. Through the centre, I'm trying to think whether we start with Gabriel, Jesus, or Trossard.
Is Eddie out then? Is he injured?
Well, apparently in training he had like one of them boots on. What's them boots that protection boot or something? So
I don't.
Yeah, I don't know if he trained today, but he's definitely not going to start the game. So if Gabriel's fit, maybe he starts, or maybe we would just keep Trossard in the team because Trossard's been playing well, and we might just move Martinelli. You know those guys interchange, Martinelli and Trossard. They interchange left, and we might just play with that false 9 because we absolutely smashed Fulham last game. We absolutely bossed them. Trossard obviously got like the 3 assists in the first half. So what I would say is, like, obviously the key players are Martinelli, Saka, and Trossard if they start. What would you say in your team in Leeds? Who are you? What would be your starting lineup, and who would be your key players?
I'll tell you the predicted lineup, which might differ from my starting lineup, but Meslier in goal, right back Luke Ayling, right centre back Robin Koch, left centre back Liam Cooper, left back Junior Firpo. I think that's obvious. As I mentioned before, Liam Cooper will come in as club captain. I think he'll come in. The only caveat could be Strike coming in, but I think we'll see. I think Liam Cooper might start as his club captain. Midfield, Mark Rocker and Weston McKennie as the 2 pivots. The forward central midfield player or the attacking central midfield player. This is where I might change it, right? I mean, I'm not a huge fan of the guy, but he seems to be getting a nod, and that's Brendan Harrison, the United States player. So I think he'll play there. And then the 3 up top on the right, I think it would be Crescencio Somerville, who I would start definitely. He's scored 5 goals this season. Don't take goals out of a team, particularly when you haven't got your top goal scorer playing. So hopefully he starts. I think he will. Jack Harrison on the left, and up front, I think it will be Patrick Bamford, who I personally wouldn't start. I'm not a big fan.
I've got to ask you about Bamford, man.
Nah, don't.
What? Bamford's a funny one. He had one of these breakout seasons, and since then he just seems to be meaty. I don't know what's happened to him. He got an injury. I know he was out for a long time, but he just doesn't seem to be kicking on in that team.
Yeah, I mean, I'm disappointed with him. I think he played great when there was no fans in the stadium. He looked fantastic. He did get a foot injury, and I think Bielsa had something called murder ball. I don't know if you heard about it, but it was like 30 minutes training where all the coaches would have balls. They'd be like ball boys, effectively, and it's similar to playing football in a cage where the ball's always in play, unless you've got a bent foot that kicks it somehow like it's rugby over the fence, but the ball is always in play, right? So they used to do that. No referees, no fouls. And we used to have loads and loads of injuries. That's why guys like Calvin Phillips, his shoulders gone, his hamstrings are always gone. So with Bamford, he had to sprint a lot. This is a full-size pitch you're playing this on. So he had to sprint a lot. His foot went. And I think he's lost a bit of confidence because I would describe him as two-footed. I've seen him trying to control balls on the right-hand side with his left because he's predominantly left-footed. He doesn't seem to want to face up to defenders and take them on. So something mental's gone. And, the argument is he holds the ball up and he brings people into play. It's not enough for me. I'd rather a guy that scores goals. So, yeah, I've seen his game deteriorate. And he's missed crucial chances against Liverpool, even though we won the game. He missed the chance, bad control, and then the actual second bad control actually presented the goal for Somerville. Yeah, anybody can miss a penalty, but yeah, he's not. For me, he does need games, but we don't need him right now. We need Rodrigo back.
Oh, is Rodrigo injured?
So yeah, one thing that came out the press conference is two players, Sinistera and Rodrigo. Yeah.
That's a big miss. He's one of your highest goal scorers, isn't it? I believe.
Yeah, he's got 12 goals this season. I think in 21 games, he's got I think the fourth best games to goal ratio in the league. But he's not 100%. He'll play, but I think basically he's coming off the bench. And right, cool. Start Bamford, see how we get on. He's also not fit, so give him an hour, make that change. Jack Harrison will definitely start. He's been playing well, he's been scoring goals, but I think, it's a lot on him. Him and Bamford need to actually, for us to have any chance, they both need to play well, and Somerville as well. But yeah, I think that's going to be the team. I can't see too much changes because it's been fairly consistent. It's just the midfield, obviously, without Tyler Adams. We did play against Wolves and we won without him. So maybe there's a combination in Mark Roca, who is more of an interceptor than a tackler and someone who's in your face. He's a Spanish player who, similar to Busquets, he can intercept, but he's not Busquets. He's not, Busquets can do it all. He can tackle, he can intercept. And Mark Roca never plays 90 minutes, which at this stage of the season, his fitness should be up. So yeah, we were a bit light in a change there. And like I said, I expect Liam Cooper to play as club captain.
So moving on to predictions now. What is your score going to be on Saturday?
We're gonna have to take an L.
Well, you just dropped that like that.
No, we are. We're gonna. I don't mind being wrong. I don't mind being wrong at all. But I'm not emotional. I'm not gonna say we're gonna win for the sake of it. Like, I'm just gonna be, logical about it. Arsenal scoring lots of goals. Arguably our three best players are missing. Can't see us winning. Have to be proven wrong. But 3-1. I think it's going to be a game where Arsenal just get better and better as the game goes on. I think we might have a good first half. But that's another thing about Arteta, which I picked up on him. When Arsenal don't play well in the first 45 minutes, whatever he says, he gets his message across. And I always see an improvement. And I think that's one of the keys to their success this season, is they've been able to find results in the second half when they haven't been playing well. But most of the time, Arsenal score in the first half. But that's one of the things I noticed last season, is that he can get a reaction out of players. Obviously, the Liverpool game that I mentioned before is a little different. But most of the time, he's able to make the right changes and say the right things. So I can see 3-1. It could be more, could be less, but we're gonna have to take an L. We need a point.
Name the scorers as well.
Martinelli, I think if I'm Martinelli and I see Luke Ayling, it's like my birthday, because he can razz that guy up. Luke ain't. You saw what happened last season when he got sent off. Martinelli got to him because he twisted him a couple of times early doors. He didn't like it. He thought them old school ones, let me leave a bit on you. But you fool, you did it in front of the referee with 2 feet, and you got sent off. So if I'm Martinelli, I haven't forgotten that. So he twisted him at Ellen Road. He got him sent off. I can see him just having success, like you said. Him and Trossard moving, and that's the thing about a false nine. I'm not a professional footballer, far from it, but how do you train? If you're centre back and you've got a false nine who's dropping deep, who's going right, who's going left, communication.
You've got you stay with him.
So those players are always finding pockets of space, and then you've got blindside runs going on you because you're looking at the man, and then Martinelli's ran past Luke Ayling like he wasn't there, and he gets a through ball from Odegaard, and he's 1-on-1 with the keeper. So those are the sort of movements I expect. So I would say 2 from Martinelli, and maybe Bukayo. He's been playing and scoring quite frequently. So, but I expect Martinelli to be the man in the match.
Interesting. I don't like to be too overconfident, but I really am confident that we will beat you. Now, I want to be respectful in terms of the score. It depends, yeah. Are we going to be tired? Are we going to come out like, first 20 minutes and, go at you? And then after 20 minutes, if we don't score, the crowd's going to get frustrated. And then, if we go in 0-0, will Leeds start to get belief that they can get a goal? I'm going to go for 2-1 Arsenal.
Yeah.
It's not going to be, I don't think it's going to be a high scoring match. And for me, goal scorers, I'm going to go for Odegaard and Trossard. I'm going to be different. Odegaard, Trossard, and for you, I'm going to say Bamford's going to get a goal.
I did say 3-1, right? I forgot to mention who would score the Leeds goal. I'm going to go for Crescencio Somerville.
He's a decent player, actually. He's quite good.
I like the idea of Bamford, and I want him to score. And I want to make it clear, like, I think it's 3-1 because we don't have our 3 best players. I can't see us being competitive enough. But one of the things that we mentioned earlier, we touched upon, is the early kickoff. So there's an early kickoff. Man City, Liverpool, I believe, right? Yeah. You mentioned the crowd. Now, that's a big thing because if Liverpool get a draw or if they beat Man City.
Oh, yes, the early kickoff, innit? So
that's gonna because if Arsenal can get 11 points clear, you're asking Arsenal to lose how many games in order for Man City to win it? So I guess that's 4 games mathematically, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I can't even see that, but I haven't looked at the fixtures. Maybe there are some fixtures and there could be some twists and turns of injuries, suspensions, that kind of thing. But usually in March is where the league gets decided, and we're coming towards the end of March. If Arsenal get 11 points clear, that's a big step towards, I wouldn't say one hand on a trophy, but you can see it. You're like Lionel Messi at the World Cup. You can kiss it or walk past it, right? But it's a big gap. So that could be the extra incentive they need.
Isn't Haaland injured as well?
Yeah, apparently. But they've got Alvarez. I mean,
they
never really looked lacking without Haaland. But I would say this. I would say if Man City lose that game, I don't think Arsenal will allow their team not to win. The fans is and Mikel Arteta, as I mentioned, he's a great motivator at half time.
Yeah, that game is very hard to call. Do you know what? I'll be happy with a draw. To be honest,
I'd be
because
over the moon with a draw. I think
yeah,
that's the best case scenario for us. I'm disappearing, bro. I gotta put the lights up.
yeah, man, you're looking like Scoobs at night.
uh,
Man. Yeah, that's better. That's better. That's better.
yeah.
That's
Sorry,
better.
man.
No, that's all right. It's the sunlight now. It's just moving over, isn't it? But
I'm gonna be on the
yeah,
sound, boy.
it's been a good stream today, bro.
It has.
Is there any shout outs you wanna
Nah,
make?
shout out to everybody who tuned in, who at present and in the future. Just follow this channel, man. Football Bants channel. We want to be doing more of these. I want to be speaking as a guest more frequently. Hopefully, you invite me back and we can talk about non-Leeds matters because it's a little bit depressing at the moment.
Yeah.
We're still in this. I reckon we'll just about survive. We just need to start getting 3 points. I don't think we're going to see that on Saturday, but I'll happily be wrong and
Who you
taking.
got after? Who you guys playing after Arsenal? Who you got?
I think we've got some fixtures that
Let me just check.
involve the teams around us. So let me have a quick look now. I don't think there's any midweek games. Oh, there is. So actually, we've got Nottingham Forest on Tuesday.
You should be getting 3 points there.
Yeah,
but then again, Forest are a funny team, man.
They are, and there's a little bit of a rivalry between the teams. I don't quite get that, but they were lucky. They scored 2 amazing goals at the Forest ground. I think Gibbs White scored a worldie.
Yeah, he's decent.
He is. He's a baller, man. He's he's a guy. If they go down, they'll be suitors for. He's really good in that number 10, and Brennan Johnson as well. Who
he's decent as well.
I think he's been looked at. He's he can play on the right, can play on the left, he can play in the middle. Those are the sort of teams. He's like Tottenham have got Richarlison who can do that, but hasn't done that. Someone like Brennan Johnson.
No goals, yeah, no goals.
That guy, Richarlison, no. Like he's well, I'm not here to bash Tottenham, but he's just not done the business. But good dancer. But yeah, I think Forest is a winnable game, and I'm gonna say it. We need to win that because if we get a point on Saturday, we still need to win that game. These are the games we got to win. And then after that, having a quick look, we've got another team in and around us at home as well. So we've got 2 home fixtures coming up, and that's Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace, Roy Hodgson, they're going to be stoic. They're going to be, pragmatic, and they're going to try and play for a point. I can see that being very difficult. That's why it's key to have goal scorers. That's why it's really imperative that Bamford scores. I don't mind him scoring, but someone in the team's got to score because that's exactly their problem. They're not even. It's not a case of they're not scoring goals. When you're not getting shots in a game on target, I think it was goal attempts. I'll have to check that stat, but shots on target. Let's say it's that. I mean, that's 3 games in a row. That's depressing to watch at as a fan, but concerning because goals win games. And if you can't score, then you're asking your team not to concede in order to get a point, which is very difficult to do. So yeah, we got two games we can look at 6 points realistically. I'll be disappointed if we don't get 6 because those teams are there for the taking. And with the madness that is the relegation battle this season, you have to win those games. We're not talking about 4 teams where you have to win. It's actually 8 teams, so you have to beat these teams to get out of it. That's all you have to do. Win those games, you'll get out of that mini league and you'll be at the top of it. But yeah, we lose against Crystal Palace and lose against Nottingham Forest at home, then by the end of that, we will be back in the relegation zone because we'd have lost 3 games in a row, potentially, if we don't get anything from the Emirates.
Do you think you guys will stay up?
I do. I think it's going to be tight, but the one thing I always look at, the one metric when I look at the bottom of the league is a team scoring goals and how much goals has the top goal scorer in that team got. And usually the top scorer doesn't have more than 5 or 6 goals. I think West Ham have got a serious issue with that.
Yeah, they're dropping like flies at the moment.
They're not scoring. Well, at least we got Rodrigo. At least we got Somerville. We got Nonto. We got Harrison scoring goals. I believe it'll be enough for us. We'll have to see how we play without Nonto because he's a spark. But I think we got Sinistera to come back. We've got Somerville who can do a similar job. So I'm not too worried. Bournemouth aren't scoring goals. Southampton aren't scoring goals. Obviously, Crystal Palace are 3-4 at the moment. Everton, they haven't really got a goal scorer. They've never had a goal scorer all season. No DCL. Neil Maupay hasn't worked out. They got this guy, Ellis, who's come from nowhere, who scored a good goal against Chelsea. But is that enough? So that's why I think we'll stay up. I think our defense is decent. These teams that don't score goals are the ones that will continue not to score goals, will continue to barely get points. And when they need to pull a rabbit out of the hat, they can't do it. Although, like, say Everton did that, you know, when they played at Stamford Bridge, Chelsea thought they won the game. They threw that guy on and he scored and they got a point.
Yeah.
That's the sort of thing that these teams like Bournemouth, Southampton are interesting because they're not scoring loads of goals, but they're getting 3 points and losing and 3, and they're out of the relegation zone, I think now. So
are they out the? I thought they were like
they
bottom.
could be bottom. They could be bottom. I mean, let me just quickly check. Yeah, sorry, I'm drunk, man. I'm drunk. Yeah, they're definitely bottom of the league.
They're you know what, they're a decent team. So you know what, I don't know why they're down there because they got a few good players, but it's the performance, isn't it? I would say with you guys as well that you guys play very good football. Well, you lot are in 14th at the moment.
Yeah, well, 14th. I'm just looking at the table. Leicester City, their last 5 games, lost, wow. Draw. That is serious. Another metric I look at is goal difference. Right, so teams with high goal difference tend to go down. That's a given. And you've got Forest with -27. A lot of that was accumulated at the beginning of the season. But Wolverhampton Wanderers 19th, and they're 13th. They're above us, right? But
-19 and Palace -16.
Yeah, so you got to look at teams like Leeds and Leicester. Their goal difference isn't too bad. That's an extra point when it comes to it, right? That will obviously give you an advantage if the points are level. That's like having an extra point. So it's going to be tight, brother. But I think as long as we can keep our goal difference down and we can continue to score, we should be all right. I reckon 15th will be. We got to make the most of these fixtures because I think off the back end of the league, we've got big boys. We've got Man City, Liverpool.
That's where I worry for you guys, man. But then again, in saying that, you guys can beat one of them big teams. If you play your best team on any given day, I think you can beat a big team. But the only thing is, you can leak goals as well.
Yeah, we need our best team out there. So, like Tyler Roberts having a hamstring operation is horrible because there's no replacement for him. Did you
not beat Liverpool this season?
Yeah, we beat them at Anfield.
At Anfield as well, see?
Yeah. So that's why, Liverpool aren't the Liverpool of 2-3 seasons ago. I think everyone know that. So they can be got at. But I would argue you need your best players. Like, if Partey doesn't play, you've got Jorginho, smart signing, you need that replacement. We just don't have. We'd have to put Max Rober if he's fit. He can play in centre midfield. He debuted there. He was excellent. But that's not ideal. We want him in the back line. So as long as we've got some players that we can use that are effective, we've got a chance. But I think we need our best players against the big teams. We need Nonto. We need all the guys, Rodrigo, Somerville, all the hot boys. We need everybody who's scoring goals to be fit to give us a chance. Because like you said, we do play good football at times. And we're not overawed. We're just a bit naive. And like you said, we concede goals too frequently.
So just before we round up everything, I just want to go through the matches that are being played this weekend. So Man City, Liverpool, win, draw, lose.
I'm going to assume that's at the Etihad, right?
Yes, that's at the Etihad.
I'm going to go for... it's a tough one. If Haaland's not playing, who knows? But I'm gonna go for a draw. I'm gonna sit on the fence on that one.
I'm gonna write these down. So when we have our little post-match
Yeah.
thing, I want to see if we got things right. So for Arsenal, the Leeds, you said 3-1. Is that right?
That's correct.
And I said 2-1. Don't worry about the scores for now. Okay. So we won't do no scores for him. We just
the results.
Yeah. So did you say Man City?
Yeah, I'm gonna go for a draw.
Okay. So Man City, Liverpool. Do you know what? I'm hoping for a draw, but I don't know. Man City might be hungry for this game. And, you know, they're the type of team that come the business end of the season, they're something else. So even though my heart wants a draw, I think Man City will win that game.
Yeah.
Liverpool are a very hard team to play against. They have very good games, but I think City will just be too much for them.
Yeah, I could hear that. I think
Pep will really have his guy. He really motivate his guys to go out there, and you know these guys, they win by hook or crook. You know, smash or grab. That's the type of game I think. But I hope I'm wrong.
They got a lot of goals in their team, man. Midfield events, they're hard. I just think Liverpool are scoring a bit more now. They'll be up for it does depend on Haaland.
Is Jota back? Because that might be
playing. I haven't really seen a lot of Liverpool, but he's been playing. He's coming back into it, and this guy Diaz, who everybody's forgotten about.
Don't tell me he's coming back.
I think he's coming back. He's been on the bench a couple of times, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah. So maybe
he's off it. He's off the pace, but you know, I think it's more Nunez and Salah are
noodles. Okay, so moving on to the next fixture, Bournemouth and Fulham. Who do you think is going to win or lose or draw in that game?
I go Fulham normally, but again, striker. I don't know if Mitrovic is banned for pushing the ref. I don't know. I haven't heard. I don't think he must have an automatic for a red card. He must be banned, right? So he can't be playing. It's just a question of how long are you out for. So they can't let him play while they decide that. There's been something in the news. I know he's apologized, but I didn't really read the article. But they'd have a great replacement. It's a hard one. I'm going to go Fulham because they have goals. I know I saw Bobby DeCover. What's that?
Paulina's back as well, so that might give him a little bit more.
He's been really impressive. He's a guy.
Bournemouth got some decent players as well. They've got that Billings. They've got that guy, that you on the left or the right. What's his name? Winger.
They've got Anthony. They've got, I think, Usman. Udara, I think his name is. They bought him in the window. Really tricky player.
Exactly.
Not James Tavernier, Marcus Tavernier. He's quick. I like Dominic Solanke as well. Ex-Liverpool
guy. Yeah, I'm going to go for a draw. I'm going to go for a draw. So what's your one on that?
I'm tempted to sit on the fence, but because I sat last season, I'm going to go for Fulham. I'm going to go away win. I think they got enough. And I was going to say, Bobby DeCover-Reid, if you haven't seen it, look at the goal he scored for Jamaica in the international break. Big goal.
Who? Oh, did he score the goal?
Yeah. Nice goal. Check that out.
He's a decent player on his day, you know. When he wants,
he is. He's not really been playing that much since they've got this guy, Solomon, I believe his name is, who's come from nowhere. And
he's scored a few goals, though, hasn't he?
Yeah, and I think he's. They've got Willian. They got I'm not sure who plays on the right, but usually that's the DeCover-Reid spot. But they got a bit of depth there. They've got goals.
Yeah. Willian's
Yeah, I'm
going to
gonna
be
go for
banned.
away win. I'm gonna
Willian will
stick.
be banned, won't he, for 3 games, isn't it? No, is he banned? Is he banned for 1 game? He's banned for 1 game, isn't he? Remember the
Who's that?
handball in the FA Cup? Willian.
Yeah, that'll be all. If he's got sent off, it'll be all.
Yeah. He got sent off. So.
You know what? I'm gonna change it. I'm gonna say, I won't go draw. I'm gonna go home win.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm gonna go home win.
Yeah, because Bournemouth are one of them teams, man. At home, they're not too. They're quite decent actually. Okay, so moving on to the Forest and Wolves game.
That is what you call a 6-pointer. That's a basement battle. Forest. I look at goals in both of those teams, and they don't really have a lot up top. I wouldn't say they got nothing because, as we mentioned before, Brennan Johnson and Morgan Gibbs-White. But Brennan Johnson was not available for Wales because he had, I believe, a groin injury, which caused a bit of contention. But usually when managers don't release players, they feature, and I'm sure his club will want him to be featured in this fixture. That said, I don't know how fit he'll be, but Wolves, on the other hand, since Raul Jimenez had that ugly injury to his head, he's lost a little something. Diego Costa's not really had the impact they would have liked.
Done nothing, has he really?
No, it's surprising. I don't understand why he hasn't given more minutes. So this is a tough one. But I'm gonna say I'd love a draw. Suits Leeds. But I think it's a hard one. They're so similar. I'm just trying to think about the team.
I personally think, and I'm going to say my prediction now. I think Forest are going to win that.
Okay.
Like a 2-1 or something like that, because Forest are at home as well, and Wolves don't really score that many goals.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I think on paper Wolves are the better team, but they don't score goals.
Yeah.
And Forest need to kind of win. And that home support. Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to go home win on that one. Forest to win.
So if anyone sees me looking down, I'm putting the scores in my the predictions in my phone. So if anyone wants to pull up Age on his score prediction or myself on the next podcast, be my guest. But if you want to make some predictions, then put them in the comments. And if you're not watching it now, put them in the comments, not the live chat, but put them in the comments after. So Crystal Palace v Leicester. So we've got some bottom of the dungeon of the cauldron fixtures here. So Palace versus Leicester City. Both teams couldn't buy a win at the moment, but both teams need a win. What are you saying?
Well, I showed you the stat with Leicester City. The last 5 games, they've lost 4, drawn 1. Palace, another stat to be confirmed, but no shots on target in the last 3. Looks like it's going to be a dire affair. Roy Hodgson, known for pragmatism. They'll be sitting in a low block, trying to counter. He'll use Elise and Eze and Zaha on the break. They just never had a centre forward. I know Jordan Ayew he scores goals, never gets into double figures. He's not really a centre forward either. He likes to play like a Thierry Henry, a bad comparison. Obviously, I'm comparing a BMX to a BMW, but he likes to play wide rather than central as a goal scorer. Something like Roy Hodgson, I can see him getting a 1-0 and smiling and waving to the crowd. I can see it. Again, I'd love a draw because it just suits us, because it just means that both of those teams don't progress. And if we get nothing, then they haven't progressed too much. Let's put it out there. I'm gonna go for 0-0. I'm gonna go for 0-0. I just think it's gonna be a 0-0. So a draw. I don't need to say score or non-score goal. I think it's gonna be a draw.
Fair. I want to see if I can bring up the teams. So you're saying it's going to be a draw, yeah?
Yeah.
So draw. I think Leicester going to win that. The only reason why, because I just think Madison's back,
Mhm.
and he's the creative spark. Harvey Barnes, I think, scored in his last game. I think Leicester have a little bit more to their game than Palace. Palace are quite. They've got that physical edge, but with this, is it Mateta? I don't rate him at all, man. Bro. Every time I see that guy, yeah, that he just reminds me of no goals, bro. He reminds me of. Do you know what? I even think Sonogo. Remember William? Is it William
Mm.
Sonogo? Sonogo banged 4 goals in a game, bro. Yeah, this guy Mateta, bro. Every time I see him, yeah, I just do not rate him at all. I just think he's just dead food. I just think he just needs to just like, nah. He's not my type of player anyway. So anyway, let's move on to the next fixture. So we've already done Arsenal Leeds. I've got a very interesting one for you. So you've got Brighton versus Brentford. Both teams playing very good at the moment. Let's see where both teams are in the table quickly. 1 second.
Mhm. I think they're quite close.
Oh, Brighton's 7th and Brentford's 8th. Both on 42 points as well. Not
Wow.
much between them at all. And
Yeah.
it's at the Amex Stadium.
Okay. That's interesting.
That's a
I don't
very
think Brentford travel that well, but I mean, if you're both sets of fans, both managers, both sets of players, you think we can beat each other, even though on paper they're virtually equal. Very similar profile. I rate Thomas Frank. I rate the Brentford model. The fact that they've got this algorithmic system that they scout players with. They tend to go for the rejects and really coach and develop them. They never really spend a lot of money. They've unearthed some gems in the process. People like Ollie Watkins, Neil Mopey, 2 examples. There's so many more who have gone to bigger and better things from playing in Brentford in the Championship. They always seem to unearth a good striker, and Ivan Toney or Ivan Toney rather is just another one they've just unearthed, and he's just doing so much. But then you got Brighton, who I don't know who their scout is, but that guy won't be at Brighton for long, and he could go to Real Madrid. He's that good because he's just
Deserby.
player they get from him. This Casado guy, Evan Ferguson,
Mitoma, McAllister.
And again, Trossard, he's a guy that played for Brighton, who's just unearthed by them. Cucurella, but they remind me a little bit of a Leicester City a couple of years back, where they just keep on getting good players, but they've got to learn from Leicester. I think Leicester were more advanced. They won the Premier League, but look where they are now. So it's nice selling players, but they got to try and build a team. But to predict, it's going to be a very interesting game. I'm going to go the way Brighton play at home. They always play well. I think Solly Marsh is a key player, but Brentford, man, they're just a really good team. I rate this guy Jensen as well. I'm not even sure where he plays. I think he's a centre mid. Really creative player. Damsgaard, he's been playing more games for them. Brian Mbuemo. Who's the guy that comes off the bench? He's an impact player. Is it Wissa?
Oh, yeah. Him, yeah.
De Silva. I mean, these are the sort of players Brentford sort of find from I don't know where and just make them into really effective Premiership players. It's going to be a hard one.
Rico Henry as well. He's a decent left back.
He is. We were linked with him. Leeds were linked with him. And I really wanted him to come because he's a good attacking fullback. He can defend.
What's your prediction for this game?
It's got to be a draw because I can't call it. It's got to be a draw. I think Brentford don't travel that well, but I want to go for just a very organised team.
I'm going to go for a Brighton win. The only reason why I'm saying that is because I thought of a draw, but I just think Brighton as you said, to Brentford don't travel very well. However, you know what? You've got Ivan Toney, so there's always a chance, isn't it? So, but I just think that Brighton have better players. I think they play a lot better football, and I think Brighton will just edge it. So I think Brighton will get a result there.
Yeah. Shout out to their manager. He's a very, very good manager. Really impressive.
Yeah, De Zerbi, very, very good manager. So the next one we've got is Chelsea versus Aston Villa. That's a bit of a crazy game, isn't it? That's a really weird game, isn't it?
I think when I looked at Chelsea play Everton, I saw a lot of positive things, and I think they're still bedding. I mean, there's no way Graham Potter knows his best team. João Felix looks like a really, really good player for them. Modric hasn't really worked out so far. They've got so many attacking options. Sterling, I don't know what's happened to him. He hasn't been featuring for a while. They're just a very unpredictable side, but Aston Villa are kind of the same thing, really. They're not playing great. I think they've improved under Emery. I mean, that wasn't that hard to do. I think Steven Gerrard just went through a bad spell. Ollie Watkins has been in a really good run of form. I think he's probably scored 8 goals in 10. He's just been doing some...
Serious?
Yeah, don't quote me on that. My stats are so fake, you know. I think maybe 6 goals in 10. He's definitely got 6 goals. He's been on a run, and I know that because I keep meaning to put the guy in my fantasy team, and I can't find a way to get him in.
Yeah,
because
you probably got Kane, Haaland,
and then I've got Monto.
Oh, you got who?
I got Monto.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's injured now.
Yeah, he is.
Put him on the sideline, bro.
Yeah. Oh my god, I need to actually pay attention to that. But it is Thursday. I'll do that tomorrow. But yeah.
So what's your?
Is it at Stamford Bridge?
Yes.
I've got to go Chelsea. I think they really look dangerous against Everton. They just thought they won that game, and Potter took off his best players, and they got caught. He won't make that mistake again.
And you've got I want to go for a win as well, because Felix, I think he's going to just do some madness. I think they're going to just dominate Aston Villa and beat them. So moving on to Sunday's games. So we've only got 3 more games to predict here. West Ham versus Southampton. What do you think is going to be the score result?
Another basement battle. Get used to this, because there's 8 teams. So you're going to see a lot of this every week from now on to the end of the season. Yeah. We spoke briefly about both teams and the lack of goals.
That's a funny game as well, isn't it?
It is.
Very hard.
You know, there's a guy who plays for Southampton. I think his name's Lavia.
He's a good player.
He's mustard. That guy is he's not an attacking player, from what I understand. He's like a 6 to an 8, but he's just classy. Him and Ward-Prowse really complement each other well.
He's Man City. He came from Man City, didn't he?
Yeah, the academy. That's right. Yeah. Belgian national. I think he's featured on their bench a couple of times, but I would say I don't see where Southampton are going to score away from home, and I don't know their manager well enough to know what approach he'll have, whether he'll just go all out for the win, which I think they have to do.
Who's their manager now? They changed managers, didn't they? Recently?
Yeah, so it's I've got to get his name right. I should be better prepared, but it's a young Spanish manager. I believe he was on the coaching staff of the last manager who was there, and he is being given the job. His name is Ruben Selles.
Okay.
Don't know anything about him, but he's incredibly young. He looks like he's in his mid to late 30s.
Wow.
So he's learning on the job.
Right.
That lack of experience is probably going to mean I'm going to go with a home win. even though West Ham haven't really played well, um, I think they've got enough in their team to beat Southampton. Maybe not any other team in the league, but I think
Yeah,
they
they
can
need
beat.
to start scoring in it, because obviously the fans will get in on their back as well, because West Ham fans aren't easy. So
Mm,
I can see, like, if they don't lose, if they lose this game, I can see a lot of pressure on the manager. A
yeah,
lot of pressure on the manager.
I think the fact that they're doing well in Europe is giving him some credit in the bank, but
Yeah.
you know they are not scoring goals. And this Samaka guy, I've already read that he wants to leave. That
What?
hasn't.
This is first season, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's the whole thing with Italian strikers not being in Italy. I
Yeah.
think there's a
We
big.
look good though, innit? And I think he was doing well. He was doing bits in Italy, wasn't he? He had a good
Yeah,
breakout season.
I think he's a good player. I think he's a really good player. I'm surprised it hasn't worked out. I don't know what the issue's been, injury or he hasn't been favoured. He's a player you got to play every week. If he's, you never know if it's an attitude problem, whatever that means. Coaches like to say that when they can't get a player to do what they want, it's not necessarily attitude. It's they recognise that the coach isn't playing to their strengths, which I get the feeling is a problem with him. Antonio probably would have scored more goals had he been playing week in, week out.
Yeah,
But he's coming to the end of his cycle at West Ham. I
yeah,
think he just looks tired.
yeah.
Um,
Well, he's one of them high energy type players, physical players, isn't it? You know, his physicality is the things that's actually kept him up to this level, wasn't it? I think David Moyes has really just, he started well. He started his West Ham career well, but he's really stagnated. And to be in the position they haven't really kicked on
they
from.
haven't. They've got good players as well. I mean,
They've got very good players. Is it
good
Paulette?
players.
What's his name? The Brazilian guy, the
Yeah,
midfield.
Pauletta. I'm a big fan of Jared Bowen. I think
Yeah, Jared Bowen's a baller. They've got some half decent players. They've got obviously Rice as well in that midfield. They've got Suchek.
midfielders.
Yeah, they've got decent players. They shouldn't be where they are at the moment.
No way, they're underachieving, and I think it's just a matter of time before they look to change their manager. Yeah. The only thing that can keep him is if they win the UEFA Conference.
Yeah,
I'm presuming you get automatic place in the Europa League. They did really well in that. They got knocked out by Eintracht Frankfurt in the semis. Who went on to win the competition, so he might get some, but. Yeah, going back to the fixture, I'm going to go with West Ham. And I'm a bit uncomfortable saying that because, truth be told, I don't know enough about Ruben Sellers and his approach, but they're bottom of the league. They need to win it away from home. You can't sit back. You've got to go for it. And West Ham like playing off the break. So I think they're going to win.
Cross. Okay, so we've got two more games. Which one should I go through first? We've got Everton and Tottenham. Everton versus Tottenham.
That's interesting.
Well, did you just laugh there?
Yeah, that's an interesting fixture. I think at Goodison, the fans, Everton are under pressure, and the fans can be horrible at Goodison Park, but they're very optimistic since Jerome Dykes got there. They're singing songs. They're getting behind the team. It wasn't like that under the previous manager, and I think Frank Lampard was out of his depth. There's no doubt about that. His job was too big for him, and I felt sorry for him and the coaches, particularly Ashley Cole as well. They're just too inexperienced. They needed more of a club that fitted their profile. Tottenham are in absolute disarray. The guy who's in charge of the club, because obviously the big news this week was Conte and Tottenham parted ways. His number two, who was looking after the club when he had his, I believe, did he have gallstones removed or whatever? Kidney stones. He was away for a couple of matches. This is Conte. And Tottenham picked up. They got some results. Then he came back, and then it was this chaos. So this number two is more calm. Maybe the players like working with him. But I think Tottenham are in disarray. The Kane, Son, Kulusevski, front three just hasn't fired. Son hasn't fired at all this year. The midfield looks average. Højbjerg, what's this guy's name? Oliver Stones, I think his name is. Or, no, Oliver Skip.
Oliver Skip.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe not good enough. Another ex-Brighton player we mentioned, we forgot to mention, was Bissouma. That hasn't really worked. And I've looked at a lot of Tottenham, and his ball retention's poor. He gives away the ball a lot, which Tottenham fans don't like. But that midfield's a problem. There's just no creative player there.
They lost Bentancur as well.
Honestly, I can see Everton drawing that game. I know they haven't got anything up front, but I think Damari Gray's played well. He's playing in his false nine. He runs around. Iwobi's really impressed me. I have to say that this season he's really impressed me. I can see his quality. He's a very good central midfield player. I'm gonna go for a draw. Kane is obviously a guy that can score. You know, maybe he would have left the shooting boots at Wembley. I'm not sure, but I just think Tottenham, the way things are, and I think under Sean Dyche, he's just very good from set pieces, from corners. They'll always be a threat. I can just see them getting a goal. Tarkowski or who's the other centre back that he likes to use? It's not Connor Cody anymore, is it? It's someone else. But yeah, he's got his centre back pairing. That's his foundation. I can see them drawing that.
So you're going for a draw.
Too many draws, though. I know I'm going to be horribly wrong, and I'll get stick in the comments, but
maybe. I'm going to go for a Spurs win. I think they're going to take the shackles are off. They don't have the pressure of Conte ball. Maybe they're going to be more expressive on the ball. I just see Spurs, because Everton, they're not a great team at all, attacking wise. They're not great at all. They're very strong in midfield, but even then, Spurs midfield could probably match their level for physicality as well. So
that's a good point. You know, when we played them, their midfield bossed us. They've got three really physically and skillful.
Well, they beat us, didn't they? They beat us with their midfield.
Yeah, their midfield is a problem. Garnet, Idrissa Gueye, Onana, who looks again another young Belgian talent, and Doucouré.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I was reading today, they all speak a dialect of Senegalese, I believe. So their communication is very tight. You know, they all practice the same faith. They're very, very close. So their team, they're hard. They bossed us. It looked like boys against men when we played them. They just took out Adam. I think that actually might be where he got his injury. But yeah, that's a good point. I take what you say, though. I think the shackles might make a difference. So that's a good shout with Tottenham. But yeah, I'm going to stick to my original prediction.
Brilliant. Okay, so the last one is going to be Man United. Newcastle versus Man United. So game down at Tyneside. That's not an easy game for United, is it?
It's not. What it is also is a repeat of the Carling Cup. Is it the Carabao Cup final? So yes. they'll be up for that. They'll be up for that. They won't have liked that day. They didn't have their number one in goal. I think they were just outplayed. But I think Casemiro is out, isn't he? Isn't he got an injury or suspension? Suspension, right?
So yeah, he's got suspension because he got free game ban. So he'll be out of this game. So is Rashford available though?
Rashford, I don't know why he wasn't picked for England. Sometimes Gareth Southgate's very vague. We could do a whole show on him, but he was shopping in New York, so I mean, doesn't mean he's fit to play football. But yeah, it could have been personal reasons. You just don't know. But at the end of the day, Rashford's key. I think the fact that Casemiro isn't playing is going to be very interesting. I think that means perhaps McTominay might come in. I think Fred has been playing. but I'm not sure because I think this Sabitzer guy has been playing as well.
Yes, he's a good player. He is.
Yeah, he keeps it nice and tidy, and he's got a good shot on him. He's resourceful with the ball. He doesn't really give it away, which is what they need. Kind of like what they had with Ericsson. He's just come in and hasn't got the kind of the silk of Ericsson from dead balls, etc. And that really good eye, but he's just very resourceful. He's very neat and tidy. It's going to be an interesting game. Newcastle not easy. They went through a lull, but I think they've got their groove back. I think their attacking options is a bit of a weakness.
Who, Newcastle?
Actually, Isak's been scoring goals.
Yeah.
I was thinking more about Callum Wilson and the fact that Almiron hasn't fired. Yeah. But yeah, I think actually they're playing well now. St. Maximin's back in the team as well, and he likes playing against teams. But what happened in the Carabao Cup? He was doing bits and pieces, and then Bissaka came on, and just neutralized him. And I think he'll definitely start because Bissaka is just so good at one-on-ones. You don't need to double team when he's on the pitch. You just can leave it to it. And he forced the ball square all the time from St. Maximin. So he's one thing. They need Almiron to fire. That's going to be an interesting game. I'm not sure if Rashford is injured. If he doesn't play, Weghorst doesn't offer anything in terms of a goal threat, then it's all on Anthony, and Anthony's not a goal scorer. So it's going to be interesting. That's a hard one to call. Hard one. I might have to go for Newcastle, you know. I think they'll be up for it. I think they'll want to get revenge.
So Newcastle win.
Yeah, I'm going to go for home win.
You know, I was just thinking about it. Do you know what? Tynesyde's not an easy place to go, man. What's that stadium called again? I can't think of it.
St. James's Park.
St. James's Park is not an easy place to go. And do you know what? If Newcastle decide to play anti-football, then it's going to be a long day for United. It might just be like one of those them games where, you know what, United just will not penetrate, or it could be one of them games where United come, you know, Newcastle are probing, and United just catch them on a break. This is a difficult one for me. But I think the Newcastle crowd, I think the crowd will be the 12th man. I think Newcastle will win this game. I think they're coming through. So I'm going to agree with you, and I'm going to go for a Newcastle win as well. So those are all the results. Obviously, once we have our next podcast, we'll go through them briefly and see who got them right and who got them wrong. And there may be a little prize, like a little sweet or something. But yeah, we'll see. So yeah, is that it now? Is there anything else to discuss, or I think we've
pretty much covered it, man. I mean, there's one question I want to ask you.
I know the question, man. I knew he's gonna hit me with this question, bro. Go on.
Do you think Arsenal are going to win the league this year?
I knew you was going to ask me that question, bro. This is a proper pressure question in front of all my subscribers. I'm going to duck this question. I want to ask.
We'll come back to this question. You know,
we're going to come back to this question. I want you to ask me this question after we play Liverpool.
Yeah. Fair enough. And you know what? I've noticed all of my friends that are Arsenal fans are just mute. You know, usually Arsenal fans come alive, but this season they've just been really mute. And I get the pressure. I get no one wants to jinx it. It's been a long time coming, but I'll give you my opinion. I think Arsenal are going to do it, and I know Man City are that team, but I just this is just my honest opinion. I can say that without the pressure. Don't come at me if they don't. But that's what I just think, as I said,
We're coming for you,
we'll get
bro.
to
If you, if
figures,
you
I
don't
think
win,
they
we're
will
coming
do.
for you. But yeah, I'm just gonna just. I want to see how this weekend's, especially this weekend's results, because obviously, if does it still remain 8 if we win and City win, or does it just go
Yeah,
back
I
to
believe
5?
so. I believe
It
so.
still
It
remains
does.
8, yeah.
Yeah, it's still an 8 point gap. And, you just got to maintain a gap. And I don't see that being a problem, whether it's 8 or 5. But
It's
obviously,
if we lose 2 games here and there, that's when the issue starts. But I'm not thinking about that. Anyway, I want to thank Age Online for repping Leeds today. It's been a great discussion. We're probably going to be back here on Saturday to do a post review on the Arsenal v Leeds match and catch up with all the other games that are played in the Premiership on Saturday. Obviously, we're not going to be able to predict. Well, we're not going to be able to tell you what the scores are on Sunday, but yeah, well, I'm hoping for an Arsenal win, obviously, as an Arsenal fan. Age is hoping for a Leeds win, but I'm just hoping we smoke them, because I don't think Leeds travel too great in London. But yeah, we'll be back on Saturday. Thank you all who have listened or watched the podcast. All I need you to do is subscribe and like the post. And yeah, if you want to click onto Ages Online as well and subscribe to him as well, that would be nice as well. His name's will be in the description, so just subscribe to his channel as well. That'd be appreciated. But yeah, that's all from Football Bounce channel for today. And we're going to leave you and thank you and goodbye.
peace out.